This is part 2 of the basic product editing. Now, some of the techniques that I've used in here are very, very fundamental techniques within Lightroom and Photoshop, but hopefully you've been able to pick up something from them and perhaps see the process. As I said in the first video, what you should do is get it right in camera. Take the time to get it right in camera, even if it is a limited studio space that you have. Keep shooting and shooting and shooting until you get it right in camera. Adjust the lights, flag, everything you need to do. That's how you'll get the best images, not what we are doing here. Now, the reason I'm doing this as well is to show you how to resolve some issues with products that perhaps didn't work, and in this case today it's about flagging that didn't work and that you want to refine, perhaps just keep for yourself. Both of these videos as well, if they were for clients, these images for clients, they would be thrown back. There is no way that these images are anywhere near the quality that a client could use. So that's why I'm having fun with them and hopefully providing you with some helpful tips on how to edit things. Coming up is more editing techniques in the next few videos, including this one that I'm going to put on the screen just now. Now, that's taking things a lot further when it comes to the editing side, but still working around the same principles. A lot more compositing for that one. It's nothing new or original, it's just something that I wanted to create just to bring into the videos as well, just to show you different things that could be done. So without me blabbering on anymore, we are going to get into part 2 of basic product editing. So here we have the problem with this one. This is directly against the softbox, and as you notice, we've lost the edges. Now that works, but I would rather have the edges in, so we do that by flagging. And as you can see with this image here, I used my phone. We're working with minimal equipment here. I didn't even have any card around, so I used my phone to flag off this side, but again it didn't work. But it did work on this side, and the reason for that is simply angles. But for this video, I did intentionally do this just to show you how an angle can change what is caught in the flag and what is not. So you now notice that we have still no edge here. It's a bit more defined than it is there, but at the same time, that edge is a nicer edge. So how do we get that edge there to be on that side? And this is where we do this. Right click, edit in Photoshop. Now that we're in Photoshop, what we're going to do is we are going to take the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to cut through this around halfway and take it out there slightly. I'm then going to go Control C, Control V, which has copied my selection onto a separate layer. With that selection, we get into Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. So as you can probably guess, I'm going to move to the Move tool. So using the Move tool, if I start to move that and then hold down the Shift key, it locks it to the same axis. I can't move it up and down. So we take that across and we're looking for similarities roughly around about, I'm going to guess around about there. That looks right, but if it isn't, what we can do is turn it off, and with the rulers activated, which is Control R and Control R to bring them back, I can take that along to where I think the edge is, which is around about there, turn that layer back on, and then using the Move tool and just the arrow keys, move that into position. So that looks okay there. I'm going to move the guide back out the way, or I could press Control and H, which is hide, and it will hide the guides. I'm now going to zoom in slightly, just into about there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mask on this layer. And because it's a reveal all mask, I'm going to paint in black. So I'm going to go up here, choose the brush, which is also B for brush, and I'm going to paint out. Now I've got quite a big brush for this one at the moment, and the reason for that is I'll get a better fade through on my image. And you'll notice if I just keep pressing here, you'll notice at the end of the E just here, more and more keeps appearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint through the S and then just go there, because I don't want too much of this. And I also want to zoom into that area just to check that I don't have any anomalies, and I'm quite happy with that. So the next couple of things we have to sort are up here. And remember, as I said, the feather of the brush will affect the outer edges of what you're doing. Now, normally if I was doing something like this, I would be using the pen tool for it, but just to show you this, it can also be done by hand. I am going in very gently and I'll make it quick, so there might be a couple of wee mistakes in here. Right, and then there, I'm going to take the brush up and I'm going to do that. And that was one too much. So we've got a small kink in that there. In here, I can make the brush bigger and I can paint through. And we actually can get away with that one there. That one there, not so much. And down here, we're just going to paint that out. So if I zoom back, Control and 0, you can notice that we've got a kink there and we've got something going on down here that we're going to repair as well. And by how we're going to do that is all within the one layer. So I'm going to press Shift, Control, Alt and E, which copies these two layers up onto one layer. Next thing, I'll deal with that one last, but I'll go in and deal with this one just now. So I'm going to zoom in. And because I've got my guides there, I'm going to go to 50%. And I also have Snap enabled. And I've got Snap enabled most of the time when I'm editing products. It's a lot handier. At times I do turn it off, as you saw in the first video that we did. So what I'm going to do now is take the rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to copy from about there to about there. And again, Control C, Control V, copies it up onto that one layer. And as I said, I can hide the guides by simply going Control and H. And that hides them. Control and H brings them back. So I'll just hide them for now. This one here, again, Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And you'll see it moving across there. I'm then going to bring this in by holding down the Shift key to where I think it should be. Now, I think that looks best there. And it's different from the original shot of that side, but I think that looks best there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match that area there up with that edge. And that's Control and T, which is free transform. Again, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to drag that until it matches with there. Now, if it's out slightly, it's okay because we can deal with it in an edit, but the better I can get it, that's it. Let's go for that. As I say, we are doing this very, very quickly simply because it's in a video, but hopefully you will get the idea with lots of these. And create a mask. Again, blend out the areas that I don't want. For example, in here, I don't want that. In there, I don't really want that, but because I have a subtle blend, oh, I don't actually. I'll take that down to about 58, take the brush down a bit, and we'll just get rid of some of that. Just in there. Right, we also have this area here. I'll show you in a second how to get rid of that. Up here, you'll notice we had that kink there. That we need to correct from this layer. So what I'm going to do here is select about that much. Hopefully this will work first time. Edit copy. Edit paste, paste special, paste in place. Now that we've copied that up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and just look at it to see how much it actually needs moved. And then I'm going to go Edit, Transform, Warp, and that's the warp there. I'm then going to go up to the split of the warp, and I'm going to split it at that point, and I'm going to drag it up from that point. Just not too much because it will knock out the entire thing. And that looks better than what it was. So we'll go OK and we'll zoom back out. So that takes our eye away from that just now. Again, Shift, Control, Alt and E to create one single layer. And we're nearly at the end of this edit, you'll be glad to hear. So hopefully you are getting something from this. And this is the basic form of editing. It's just to tidy up things. And there's many, many ways of doing this. What I'm using just now is the clone stamp. And I'm going to do that because if I go in here and draw through there, and up there, down there. Control 0 to zoom back out. So you'll notice again we've got a wee kink in there. We can go in and clean that up if we wish. For the purposes of this video, what I'm going to do is zoom back out and show you how we removed the phone and created the base. Control minus to zoom back out. We're on a blank layer here, so what I'm going to do, again, rectangular marquee tool is our friend for this edit. And I'm going to put that over the phone, create a new layer, go in and choose the paint bucket tool, hold down Alt, click once, flood fill that, deselect. So that's it, we've got the same colour match that we wanted. And then Control and E will bind that into that layer. Again, as I say, for these past couple of edits, it has been the marquee tool that's been our friend. In this layer here, create a new one. Now that we have that selected and we're on a new layer, just click fill and then go deselect. Hard edge to softer edges. So if you remember from the first video, the blur tool, I'm set at 100% for these images. Click once, hold down shift, click twice, still holding shift, 3, 4, 5 for this one. And let's zoom in just to see. So there you have it. We've got a softer edge now against that. Control 0. Now the final part of this edit is that area there. We're going to zoom in for that. One of the ways of removing this here is we can go in and make a selection, and we can get into the lasso tool and we can do that like so. And then we can go into edit, content aware fill, and this will appear here and it will tell us that that is the results of it. And that's probably one of the quickest ways of doing it. So I'm going to OK that, apply that, and then OK that, and then go deselect. See how quick and simple that was. Quite happy with everything that's going on there. Yep, everything seems fine for me. I'm then going to go File, Save, and take it back into Lightroom. Okay, that's us back in Lightroom now. And we're going to just make a couple of edits to this. And the first one is going to be within the masks of it. So I'm going to choose the subject, lift the exposure very slightly, lift the contrast because that will help with the blues, leave the shadows, lift the clarity, and then go into the texture, the sharpness for this as well. And there we have that. We're then going to add a new mask, and this time we're going to use the brush, and I'm just going to paint over the lid, same as we did in the previous video if you've watched that one. We're going to go in there, just up there. It's going to be nothing perfect. I always take my time when doing this, and the idea for these videos is just to give you different options. As I said, if this was for a client, I'm going to lift the shadows here. I wouldn't be editing it like this. I would be taking my time. I would also make sure I got it right in camera. So I'm just going to lift the shadows a bit more. I'm going to lift the highlights a tad, and I'm going to lift the whites a tad, but I also don't want to lose too much in there. So I'm going to say that's okay at that. Last but not least, go in and let's pull the highlights back just over the entire image just to see what happens. Highlights back slightly. Shadows, I don't think I can touch. Nope, I can't. Blacks I'm going to leave. Clarity I'm going to leave. I'm just going to go in and sharpen the image slightly. And how we do that, if we zoom in at 100% for sharpening, that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to just use this. As you can see, lots of stuff need cleaned up. And that's the first thing you should always do with an image. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key and then move the sharpening. And you'll notice that all colour has been removed. And that's simply because our eyes can see sharpening better in monotone than we can in colour. So I'm going to take it to about there. Then I'm going to get into the masking. For this, I'm going to zoom back out. And I'm going to hold down Alt and only apply sharpening to the areas that are white. So I'm only going to apply sharpening to that there. And for me, that says the image just needs balanced. As you can see, it's not too bad at that. Maybe in this side a tiny bit. Just to about there. And that's roughly it. So that's us with our finished image. Hopefully you get something from that, and hopefully it just gives you an idea of what you can do in post. Again, I'll repeat again and again, get it right in camera. You don't have to bother with any of these techniques whatsoever. Well, perhaps the masking, but that's it. Editing and cleaning up. But everything that was done in Photoshop, normally we wouldn't bother with that. So do your utmost to get it right in camera. Adjust the lighting, take your time. The more time you take in setup and the base of it before you shoot, the less time you're going to have in post. More videos in the pipeline, one of them being the lens that I'm filming on just now, which is the Fujinon 16mm f2.8 RWR lens. Thank God I've got my contacts in, I can read it. And also this Meek 12mm f2 lens. Now I've just opened this just arrived today, so I've just opened this up. So that lens, this video for this will be in a couple of weeks' time. So that's the next couple of videos coming up. So hopefully you'll tune back in for them. Thanks again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.